Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the discussion. So, number one, what is a living thing? You wrote a definition last night, came out of your head after observing our little, whatever our little friend was, trying to decide whether you thought it was a living thing or not. So that answer that you've got for number two that you did for homework, the what is a living thing? I'm not necessarily going to, I'll tell you what, you can share it with one person sitting near you. Share it with one other person. We're not going to share those as a big group because that answer may change. So go ahead and share it with one person. Your answer for number two. How many of you have something similar? Whoever you shared with. Okay, how many of you have some similarities in your definition and somebody else's? Okay. There's some overlap? Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, let's look at our brainstorming. So this is supposed to be a list of things that every single living thing in the entire universe, because we don't know if there's life off this planet or not, every single living thing anywhere has to have or has to do or has to be able to do. So, give me one. I'm going to do shirt color lottery. Have I done that yet in here? Yeah. Okay, good. So, somebody in green or blue? Okay, I got 2 in blue, 3 in blue. Okay, go for it. Okay, so you say it's got to have cells. All right. What else? Here, let's even make that has cells. Okay, another one. Okay, so we've got a very large list of things that we think are characteristics that describe all living things. Anything that we need to add to this? Anything we've missed or forgotten or you feel needs touched up? I think we've got it. Would you accept those as examples of living things that don't have color? What do you want to do with color? Leave it, exit, question it. Okay, do you all want to make the ant sound? Okay. All right. Needs oxygen. That's our next one for consideration. Can you think of a single living thing that does not need oxygen? Does not require oxygen? Tyler Conto. Trees. What do trees breathe in? What gas do they use? They use CO2, carbon dioxide. Yeah. So they don't use oxygen. They make oxygen. They produce oxygen. Okay. And actually all plants, a lot of algae, some bacteria pull in CO2, use oxygen. Okay, has DNA. So far, what do we have that's holding out here? We'll do these in yellow. Has cells. Go back to our red. Has DNA. Can you think of a living thing that does not have DNA? This is a tricky one. We'll see if anybody. There's a weird thing that gets into all sorts of like, oh, I hope nobody brings it up because it makes everything more complicated. Can you think of a living thing that doesn't have DNA? So let's run through a list of living things. Bacteria, do they have DNA? Yes. Dandelions, do they have DNA? Yes. People? Yes. Mice? Blue whales? Insects? Snakes? Fish? Start naming other living things. Those are the broad categories. Chickens, pardon? Grass, yep, DNA. Okay. So we're not finding anything that doesn't have DNA. Nobody mentioned viruses. We'll talk about viruses some other time. Viruses don't have their own DNA. Or no, they do have their own DNA, but they can't reproduce by themselves. That's the catch. Okay, we'll talk about them later. So far, we can't think of anything that doesn't have DNA. Does it rise to the level of getting a yellow circle? Yeah. Every single thing on the planet, DNA. Okay. Needs nutrients. Needs nutrients. Can you think of anything that doesn't take in nutrients from someplace? All you have to do is name one living thing that doesn't meet that, and we can go, just because it's fun. Can you think of anything? Anything? I just love the looks I get. Tyler. They don't, you're right. Now, do you know that viruses are typically not considered a living thing? They're not typically considered a living thing. They're this weird extra category. Viruses are not considered living things because they can't reproduce on their own and because they don't take in nutrients. You're right, they don't. But because of those things, they're not considered to be living things. What else? Any living things you can think of that don't take in nutrients? So let's do some examples. Anybody here ever bake bread? Who said they had home ec last year? Mrs. Dolence. You baked bread, you baked calzones, you did all kinds of rolls and cinnamon rolls. Yeast, it's a living thing. You put it in the bread, then you promptly killed it in the oven, but okay, aside from that. Did you have to provide any nutrients for the yeast in the bread? What was in there to feed the yeast? Sugar. Yeah, they eat that sugar, and that's how they belch out all the CO2 that makes your bread rise. Okay, so something like a yeast takes in nutrients. What about trees? Do they take in nutrients? Where from? Okay, they take in things like minerals through their roots. Where do they get sugar? Everything needs sugar at the base. We'll think more about that later, but okay. So trees take in nutrients. You take in nutrients, obviously. You just did. Mice? Whales? Insects? Okay. Does it rise to the level of a yellow circle? Okay. Okay. Needs heat, maintains temperature, needs energy. See, I would put needs energy up there with nutrients more, but okay. So needs heat, maintains temperature. Can you think of things that don't maintain their temperature? So who was our snake guy? Okay, snake guy. Can your snakes maintain their own temperature? No. So, yes, but not very well, in essence. So you guys all maintain your own temperature. If we toss you out in the freezing cold, you're going to shiver, you're going to do all kinds of things, you're going to keep your body temperature going. If we toss you out in the raging heat, you're going to sweat like, I don't know, you're going to sweat a lot, buckets. You're going to maintain your temperature. Does a single bacterial cell maintain its temperature? There's a distinction here. Can it do something to maintain its temperature? Can it do anything to maintain its temperature? No. But if its temperature isn't maintained, does something happen to it? What happens to it? It dies. Why do you cook hamburger to 160 degrees? Kill bacteria. Yeah. So, we heat things. How do they sterilize medical instruments in a hospital? Autoclave. Yeah, they have a big device. It's a pressure device, and you put all the instruments in there, and it goes through, and it goes up to like 250 Fahrenheit. Very, very hot, kills all the bacteria on the surfaces. So a single cell can't regulate its temperature, but if it doesn't have a constant temperature, it dies. So how could we change that? Well, maintain temp, that kind of implies that they're doing something to maintain that temperature. How could we change that? Weston, wake up, head up. Thanks. Evil in the appearance of evil. Nick, head up. Thanks. Okay, how can we change that? Well, but again, that implies that they're doing something about it. Can a bacterial cell do anything about it if you stick it in the oven? All it can do is die. How could we change that? How can we change the wording on that? So we like the idea. What if we were to say instead of needs heat, needs stable temp? Would that make it better? And maybe maintain temp, because again, that implies they can do something about it. Maybe that goes away. So needs a stable temperature. Okay. Let's see. Needs habitat, needs a place to live, lives on other organisms. Let's hold on those. Let's go up to grows. Can you think of a living thing that doesn't grow? Does it start off at the same size? They start off smaller. They have to grow to full size. So even an individual cell does change size over its lifespan, even if that lifespan is a few hours. Are there any things that are living things that don't grow at all? Do you think you have one?